Hi everyone, thank you for watching my presentation. My name is Caitlin and I am in an employment-based internship as a family advocate at a local Head Start in Maine. Head Start in my county is run by a community action agency called Mid-Coast Maine Community Action. Mid-Coast Maine Community Action, known to pretty much everyone as MMCA, is a CAP agency that serves Sagadahoc, Lincoln, and North Cumberland counties. Their operating hours are Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. MMCA as an agency oversees several granted programs, including Head Start. These programs include LIHEAP, which stands for Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, WIC, which stands for Women, Infant, and Children Nutrition Program, Whole Families Coaching, and Families Can, which is the local child abuse prevention and parenting education program. MMCA was originally founded as Merry Meeting Community Action. The agency was formed to house Maine's first successfully funded anti-poverty program in 1967, a venture spearheaded by John Resenbrink, a prominent philanthropist and political activist, and the founder of the Green Party of the United States of America. Other programs have been added over the years. LIHEAP in the 80s, WIC in the 90s, Whole Families Coaching, and Families Can in 2020 in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The program I work for, Head Start, started at MMCA in 1977 as a single classroom to serve 12 underprivileged preschool-age children, and has only grown since then. We now serve over 170 children in over 30 classrooms across multiple Maine counties. MMCA's mission statement is, our mission is to strengthen communities across Mid-Coast Maine through responsive programs and strong partnerships that promote economic stability, school readiness, whole family resilience, and healthy lives. I believe that mission statement reflects in the goals outlined by MMCA's 2026 strategic plan. Ensure that families of Mid-Coast Maine have access to early childhood education and other support services to set their children up for success. Advance the economic security, health, and well-being of individuals and families in our community. Establish MMCA as a trusted, visible, and well-understood presence across the communities we serve, recognized for our impact, partnerships, and commitment to family and community well-being. And finally, to build financial resilience to ensure long-term organizational sustainability and the continued delivery of high-impact services. Now, I believe that these goals connect to this mission statement, especially in the first goal, because Head Start and the Family Services Department in general is the largest program and department at MMCA. Here you will see an organizational chart that I made of the different roles at MMCA. You'll see my role in red all the way down at the bottom. I'm the intern. You'll see, if you sort of work your way up from there, that I have a regional manager, and as well as others have a regional manager, who are managed by one manager, who is managed by the director, who is managed by the CEO. And the CEO oversees a lot of the different programs and departments. Each program and department sort of has their own staff and their own way of doing things, but each one has a director. So finance has a director, economic stability has a director, Head Start has a director, WIC has a director, HR has a director, and beneath these directors, depending on the number of employees and how big each department is, has managers, and then because Family Services, as I said before, is such a large program at MMCA, there is not just one manager. There is a manager who manages several different managers across all the different regions. So, my role on the Family Services team, I work directly with the clients of Head Start and early Head Start programs. Head Start's history as a program started with an 8-week pilot program in the summer of 1965, targeting impoverished preschool-aged children and their families by offering free summer programming, including nutritional meals, to eligible families. Today, that summer program has grown to provide early childhood education from ages 6 weeks to around 5 years old. The demand for this program has soared in recent years, with the cost of childcare, whose growth has outpaced even housing costs in the state of Maine. Funding for Head Start and Early Head Start comes from a variety of grants and revenue streams on the local, state, and federal levels. We get $438,043 from state DHS revenue, from CACFP revenue, which is the fund that allows us to serve food and allows us to hire cooks. We get $75,000 from Federal Head Start. By far the largest grant that we receive is $2,470,593 from local school districts who we partner with in things called collaboration classrooms, which combine the resources of Early Head Start and Head Start and public schools to provide free and public preschool to children who need it. We get $150,000 from a nonprofit called United Way. We get $35,000 from the Federal Early Head Start grant. We get almost $1 million, $994,710 from the MRTQ salary supplement, which MRTQ is the Maine licensing and training board for early childhood educators. We get, if you work in early childhood education in Maine, you get about $250 every other paycheck as a supplement. Basically, it's Maine's way of saying, thank you, we need you. We get $125,000 from that. Whole Family's grant is about $80,000, MECAP $100,000, and finally the In-Kinds, which is the revenue matching program that we have. It's about $866,000. So obviously it's a huge program, lots of moving parts, lots of grants, and lots of money involved. So it can get tricky to document everything perfectly and to make sure that we're all tip-top shape and ready for federal reviews, which come every 2 years and every 5 years. As a member of the Family Services team, I report to my supervisor, the Family Services Manager, who manages myself and the other family advocates, the ERC, which stands for Eligibility, Recruitment, Enrollment, Attendance Specialist, the Parent Engagement Specialist, who manages the Parent Policy Council and is responsible for hosting parent events, and the Whole Family's coaches, who work intensely with families in crisis. Family advocates are assigned to a regional center, mine being Brunswick, and given a caseload of families within their center. My caseload is 41 families. I'm tired, and I serve 4 classrooms in the Brunswick Head Start Center. Family advocates are pseudo-guidance counselors for the centers that they serve. They are responsible for tracking attendance, communicating with parents about child absences or illnesses, supporting families through family outcomes assessments and goal planning, and acting as a case manager, referring families to community services and programs that fit their needs and goals. We also do a lot of the enrollment papers with families, so we'll be the ones at the beginning of the school year gathering information about allergies and, custody things. We manage all the court paperwork. As a family advocate, I have helped a refugee mother obtain her driver's license, supported a family experiencing homelessness and obtaining permanent housing, connected a mom to domestic violence resources, and encouraged many clients, to practice self-care and seek mental health care as much as they do physical health care. One policy I would like to discuss as it relates to my agency is a recent legislative change to the responsibility of providing free appropriate public education from CDS to public school districts. So, free appropriate public education, FAPE, is required under the IDEA Act. Essentially, it's the legislation that makes it possible for schools to provide services to children who have extra needs in classrooms with peers instead of pulling them or sending them to separate places. So every child is, no matter, what difficulties they have, is entitled to a free, appropriate public education under the IDEA Act. So up until this point, for children from the ages of 0 to 5 who are involved in early childhood education, which is kind of what we call daycares, providing free, appropriate public education has been the responsibility of a separate organization than the public school districts. This organization is called Child Development Services and is run by the state of Maine. Now, this is done in a way that's not done in any other state. In any other state, it would be the public school district that the daycare resides in, providing services for these children. But CDS, as a whole, is completely underfunded, understaffed, and the only reason is it's separate than the public school district is because that's all what we've known. So that hasn't changed up until now. So in 2024, legislation through the Education Committee, and then eventually printed in the Maine state budget document, called for a transition of responsibility. So they basically said CDS can serve kids ages 0 to 3, but from ages 3 to 5, we want the public school system handling their services, their evaluations, their assessments. So this transition is to occur from 2024 to 2028 in 4 rollout waves of different school districts, but to eventually include all school districts by 2028. So, as I mentioned before, the reason for this is because separating the two was not the best idea in the first place. CDS services are chronically understaffed, severely underfunded. This standardizes services and opens ages 3 to 5 to access public school services and funding, which the big part is funding and staffing. Now, the target population for this policy is children and families ages 3 to 5 receiving CDS services throughout the state of Maine. Now, how does this impact our clients? Why should we care? So, this legislature changes the structure of referral, evaluation, and assessment and intervention processes for clients with children who need services such as speech or OT at an early age, which I can name like 10 kids at my center under the age of 3 and also over the age of 3. So 3 to 5, who that would affect. It impacts the services scheduling, staffing, and evaluations at CDS. So now CDS will have even less staff than they had before because all of the money that would have gone to them from the grant that allows them to provide services is now going to go to the public school district, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But for children who go to a daycare center that's not in their public school district, they risk being underserved or slipping through the cracks, especially in that messy transition period between daycare and public school and entering the public school system and keeping your records intact with that. Now, this transition period is also a period of uncertainty. There are no clear answers on how this process is shifting to meet new legislation, which means no clear answers for our clients whose children are receiving services and evaluations and really depending on the staffing, the funding, and the processes that they've known. So, what can MMCA do about it? What can we do as an agency to advocate for our clients and make sure that this policy does not negatively impact them and instead has the positive effect that is the whole reason that they're trying to get this passed? So, we can advocate for smooth and structured transition guidelines from the Maine Department of Education. We can advocate for materials, including translated materials for our families who don't speak English, explaining the shift and how it may affect their children's services, evaluations, assessments, and scheduling. We can also advocate for expedited services for children who are underserved and underfunded by CDS when CDS was responsible for their services, and advocate also for extra services and extra time with providers to make up for the lack of funding and the understaffing that each child experienced through CDS. These are just a couple of the ideas that I have as a family advocate. A lot of the families that I work with are navigating mental health and disability services for the very first time, and it can be kind of scary. And I hope that by being transparent, these families can feel more at ease. And by advocating for transparency, by advocating for clear guidelines, and by advocating for expedited services, we can provide that to the clients we serve. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.